A'udhu billahi shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. May God protect us from ignorance. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. Rabbit Firli, may God forgive us for the mistakes we know and we don't know. And Ihdina Sirata al-Mustaqim. May God, the system admin, direct us to the straight path, to the direct path. May direct us to the direct path. Anyways, that means considering the importance of reality. I wanted to give a lecture. I'm very peaceful today, so I wanted to just give a peaceful talk. And I wanted to speak about, is it interesting to accept who we are? Like, is it like, how interesting of an idea is it to accept what we're being in the moment? Like, what is the value? If our interest is based on, like, you know, a questioning or a revaluing of reality, what is the value of being interested to accept who you are, to be what you are? You see, we have to look at the human mind. The human mind has two fundamental urges. Like human intelligence has two main urges. One is to be, the other is to do. When we are tired, we're more inclined to being something. When we are energetic, we are trying to do something. So for me, as one human being, it's kind of like fascinating to wonder about this question. Like, I'm getting interested to know what is like the true value of, me accepting myself here. Or should I not be accepting who I'm seeing right now at all? Like, do you see where I'm going with this? I'm wondering about how interesting is it really to accept what I am right now. And contrary to popular belief, the status quo may think like being something compared to doing something is less valuable. But to be something sometimes means also considering all the actions that are leading to your meaning. You see, everything, just like you can zoom in and out, can get deep. Anything can get deep. And from another angle, we look at humanity and we see all the different types of human beings there are. So it's kind of like, to answer the question, how interesting is it? Is it interesting to be who we are, to accept who we are? It's like, that's a question for the human framework. So it's like, are we okay accepting the type of human activity we see right now? Now we have to consider the human being does have an ability, every one of you has this ability, of considering value in one context and being able to compare it to value in another context. So whoever's listening to this episode, it's very important that you consider yourself a type of listener right now that has an ability to see in what other ways your intelligence can be activated here. You see, it's conditional. There's two approaches also to context to reality, that it's like the concept is conditional or unconditional to it. God is a concept unconditional to reality. That is why the names of God are sacred. You see, what I can present to you now is my own analysis. And so I have to, in this episode, ask the question for myself. Like, is it interesting to accept who I am? Well, the question comes, okay, if I'm choosing to be interested in what I'm being, then how am I being what I'm being? So you need to reach a point where you can ask this question. See, I've reached the point in life where I've accepted really my limits. I understand the limits and I accept it. And when I go out in the world, like, just to give you a human example, it's like I went to get coffee. And when I was getting coffee, I was noticing every person being a representative, being a representation of how they're viewing the world. Like, from your appearance to how you walk to how you feel you're being to yourself in the presence of others. I looked at how human beings were being, and for me it always comes down to like this playful smile of realizing it doesn't really matter how the content to the existential system is present. It's all about the value to the soul. You see, there's greater value systems. Most human beings are based on visible value systems. So, in the presence of my creator and my species, is it interesting to accept who we are? You see, I think that in actuality, from one perspective, we have no choice but to accept what we're being, but from another perspective, we have no choice but to attend to our future. And so the human species, more than it is being ruled by anything outside and physical, like conspiracy vibe, more than it's in that vibe, it is being controlled by conceptual design. And the conceptual design to reality is that you're a human being in time, meaning that you have a relationship with how you've got here so far, you have a relationship with how you're being here, and you have a relationship with where you are going and where your reality is going. We're living at such an interesting time in 2025 that if the human being right now wanted to advance civilization, they wouldn't know where to begin. The civilization hasn't created a pathway so that its members can become champions of it. See, in external situations, you have no choice. You're required to accept your being. That means it is very interesting. When I'm with others, it's as if it's suddenly like this sphere of awareness that has to suddenly organize itself in the context of new information entering the moment. I mean, like, you have no choice. You kind of have to accept who you are. But from another angle, what sort of potential are you accepting to who you're being? Right now, do you believe it? I'll give you an example, and this is going to blow your mind. So right now, if I wanted to, for example, cook an omelet or drive a vehicle, okay, while cooking an omelet, no, that's dangerous. Let's say if I wanted to just drive a vehicle right now, I would be like, there are human beings on this planet who can drive a car way more advanced than I can. Which means right now, if I had access to the experiential archive of those human beings, I could drive a car in an amazing way. I could kneel from the matrix this, my driving skills. But the issue is, sorry, not the issue. This should be a representation. This should be a pattern for you where if you're like, yeah, man, this guy has a point. He's saying that he's driving a car right now with his own ability, but there's someone on earth who can drive the car in a more advanced way. So this whole time, this person could have driven the car in an advanced way. The probability exists. Similarly, now we come and look at the human being and we ask ourselves, what is the probability to the humanity, to the human being? And so when we wonder about this, it's kind of saying right now, the possibility of you living in a more advanced way exists. It's here. But it's all about whether that reality is accessible or not, where you can wonder about, you look at its geometry, and from its geometry, your eyes open to a completely different vastness of how intelligence is working here. You begin to realize that how you have been living has been a selection of choices. You have chosen the values to your every moment of life here. And this cannot be ignored. The future does not ignore us. The future is a guest we're hosting in our conditioned human environment. But the question comes, like, you gotta accept who you are in the realization that you are inferior and there's superior intelligence here. But at the same time, you should not accept anything that your mind is showing a more advanced future probability of. And this doesn't mean you shouldn't accept. I'm pretty much telling you that there are so many different kinds of human beings here. There's so many different kinds of decisions here. And there's so many different stations of human position. That means every human being on earth right now, they are running multiple programs at the same time. Your body is running a biological program. Your mind is running as a sort of psychological, linguistic-oriented program. And then you come and look at your heart and the eyes that see the world before anything defined it, and so you become fascinated by the greater games and activities that can go on here. Ultimately, if I wanted to say if I'm interested in accepting who I am or not, well, it has to do with being interested in what sort of value to the human being I am accepting. If the human being is just this, I have no choice but to accept it. If the human being is more than this, if the human being can be more than this, if the eyes of nature can open in ways they have never before, with the acknowledgement of the system administration going on here, that this world does have a system admin, that more important than how your desires manifest, it is more important how far the species saw to prepare for what was coming. And what's coming here on Earth is the arrival of multiple identityhood, meaning that people begin to have a new recalibration to the human being, a realization of the capacity for identification with anything. Because ultimately people are choosing the context. What does it mean, context? I'll give you an example. A tree in a forest. The forest is the context. The tree is the concept. The concept of the tree is found in the context of the forest. So similarly, when the human being is being valued in any way at all, it is being valued by the forest of the past, forest of the present, forest of the future. You see, people, you're human beings just like me. We're all human beings. We're all video game characters, imagine. And we're in a simulated testing zone, and every day we respawn, with the sense that it's a new day. There was this guy named Terence McKenna. He would speak about novelty, and I have looked at that idea very deeply, but I will tell you, to consider novelty is to just consider refresh. Just like you press Control R on an internet browser, similarly, it's like reality is refreshing, reloading. Every day we wake up, the meaning of our moment reloads. Now, if somebody's like, yo, man, I am interested in accepting that components to me which are unconditional, and those components that I have no choice in. But anything I have choice in, it's about the future value to the moment. Everybody is showing to you who they are because there is nowhere other than now to show who we are. This is why honest people are more expressive. And deception, in some sense, is quiet. There's so many ways the world is happening, but at some point you gotta ask, like, okay, what context do I choose for this world? And believe it or not, like, one human being is telling you that the context, this is like, imagine I'm a hunter and we're hunting for the truth. And so I'm like, as a hunter, being like, okay, I'm my own style of hunter, but the way I've gotten close to being like, okay, what's going on here is that really it's about the acknowledgement of sectors to reality. So what I'm saying is that right now I have a value in regards to how my biological existence is being. I have a value in regards to what sort of subjective landscape I contextualize my body in to be an individual. So there's the whole point of like, it's like thinking like this. What is the most advanced relationship I can have with my biological body? A healthy biological body. What is the most advanced relationship I can have with my mind? A mind that is being responsible for the edge of its awareness. That means there's some people I speak to, their identities are just based on like a bunch of ideas. That's it. You don't know. It's not like, it's like, let me say it like this. The human being has forgotten what it feels like to create a masterpiece. And now the species needs to feel how if we live in a way where every moment of our decision making is like a masterpiece. Let me tell you what it is. The question is, do you as a conscious entity in a world have more value being similar to everyone, or do you have more value not being similar? Do you understand what I'm telling you guys? I am telling you that our eyes open in this world, we see conditional variables and unconditional variables. Right now, you cannot change your DNA, but you can choose what to do with your DNA. Because what is life? It's honestly like driving a vehicle. You open your eyes and you have conscious control over a biological organism. And now you identify as what you're being, and then you go do things. But the question of what's really going on here has to do with what is the nature of being. Let me say it like this. It's all about what you can do. It's all about, to some degree, access, and to see how you're acknowledging life as a verb noun. This is a word I created, to suggest that it's a noun and a verb at the same time. Because the noun is found in a verb. In a changing world, we find the idea of ourselves. So technically, the true value of an idea of self in a changing world should be a changing idea of self. No, guys, there's something more important than everything that is our own ego code. You see, the human being right now, what is my challenge as a public speaker speaking in front of the internet, right? So my challenge is, in some sense, to show the viewers that, listen, reality presents itself in a certain way to each person, but what is going on seems to be, there is a generality to it. Okay? You gotta see what I'm saying is the most reasonable thing. Let me explain. So first thing is, we're okay, there's something in a world, there's a human being here. Now we have to consider the value of human being and human doings. What does that mean? That means, what is the value of a human being not doing anything? Well, in the external reality, we realize because you need to survive, and survival is resource allocation, right? You have to play an external game, right? So every person right now, you're already in the video game of life. You're already a player. You've already logged in. The controls are in check. And right now you're listening to another human being who's also logged in. And imagine we're in a multiplayer video game, but instead of pixels, it's the periodic table. So now we're all logged in this game, in this simulation, and there is values to this simulation. And now we're asking, what do we do in this game that we respawn daily in? People don't realize that even the idea of a video game is a simulation inside a simulation. To me, it's about, how do I simulate myself every day? And in how much did every day I notice the original power? That's really it. For me, a good day is not a day where the world just happened. It's a day where I experienced and I noticed the higher power. There is a higher power here, and you'll be shocked when you realize it's even evident in the context. It's evident that a higher power will be the activity in a lower space. The way we're alive is so unique compared to any other species that it's like pat the human race on the back because it managed to connect itself to itself. Like we don't see freaking squirrels like having a community like, you know, associations and organizations. Maybe in Rick and Morty we do, but I'm saying in reality, there is a responsibility that comes with being human. And to be human means that you're responsible for the potential of your design. You are responsible in who you will be and what you will be and what will happen to your species. You need to feel responsible for your species. Right now, the species has communication, but it doesn't have trust. Do you understand? It's as if the internet and the digital space, we cannot say it is a state, it is a place of sincerity. We have to realize that cyberspace, it was as if evil managed to create something that would have a value to good in years beyond the evil's calculation. Right? That the ability for reality to happen has to do with the point of attention. How every conscious human being is a node in this system, and you have to begin feeling the presence of your species and its presence in an unknown world. You see, it's all about what we consider intelligence. And the ability to observe a situation is intelligent activity. So pretty much the answer to the question, it's super interesting. Why? Because if we accept who we are, we stabilize in externality in the outer realms. But in the inner realms, we cannot. Our mind is moving ahead of our body, and our body is following it. Now the question is, how far is the mind seeing? That means when you go to the average human being and you ask them a question, it's like, do you have any relationship with your species? Do you wake up in the day feeling honored that you're part of the human species? If this interview was done, people would see that no, there is no honor. Why? Because we are selecting. We are like in the middle of nowhere, creating our own stories, thinking that only by creating stories of our own, we can ignore the absurdity of the actual existential position. The absurdity will either render a higher value, or it will in some sense just stop existing. You see, there is something that I think the atheistic mind has not even considered its depths. That if you stop seeing a value to the whole system, then any activity in the system is valueless. Don't worship emptiness. It is one of the biggest tests. We are wondering about the advancement of the human race in the presence of a higher intelligence. So yeah, from one angle, when I'm around other human beings, I'm like just be a human avatar. But when I am in some sense, how can I say it, in a space where my mind is not bound by the cultural program, as if we're all slaves to how we behave, we don't realize what this is, the reality. That in every moment a person is in some sense projecting a signal of their identity. If you're a happy person, a happy signal is being there. If you're a sad person, you can smile as much as you want, but the core signal in some sense being given off is there. The people can hide like their facial expressions, they can hide behind words, but they cannot hide behind how their core feeling is expressing them. And so people, for example, when they look at human interaction, only look at like the visible components, even the linguistic components, not realizing that how a person feels in a world has nothing to do with what they say. That a state of being surpasses any language. Language is a state of being in itself. You understanding what I'm saying, you choosing to learn English, for example, that is a decision. That is the access through selection. But when you reach a point where you realize you don't know what's best for the human race even doesn't know what's best for it, but what is happening is inefficient. You see, if somebody was like Mr. Within, all great people in history fight great battles. What great battle, what great war did you fight? I would be like, I fought in like the language wars. I fought where humans still worshipped ideas, and ideas could be simulations for them, preventing them seeing anything else. You see, at some point you get bored of waking up every day and just being in the same value system. You get bored. You outgrow your own values. And you wonder about what other way of you exists. I think this is really the core essence of maturity, that it's all a journey of discovering how we truly are being. When you discover how you're truly being to yourself, I think that's a state of maturity. But then there's a maturity of the species where you become considerate that every human being, just like you, is looking at a world filled with mysteries. For me, I'm saying there's a fascination to who you could be. There's a fascination to what the species could be. There's a fascination to what the world could be. And there's a fascination to already how the system admin knows what it's going to be. Sorry guys, I don't know how to... Let me get rid of close this. Alright, hopefully there won't be sound interruptions. So you see guys, I'm like a human being, and I'm like, yo, okay, we're being here. What is the value of being here? Okay, there's the context of past, present, future. Okay, most human beings are just living in accordance to their past and present. They're afraid of the future. They've made it uncool to wonder about the future. I fought a battle with the New Age community, with all those people thinking that it's just positivity here. It's a spectrum. There is so many different ways reality can happen. There's so many different ways you can happen to reality as well. And it all has to do with how much you care, and honestly, everything in life just comes down to, what do you truly care for? Everything in life comes down to this. What do you truly care for? And if you care for God, for the system admin to this existential system that is beyond any form and definition in the system, if you care for God, then by the nature of that, you have to care for everything that God has created. You cannot be a human being acknowledging God, not realizing and not caring for its majesty. The majesty of the majesty of being in the presence of the higher power. So a religious person is being like, okay, there's a system admin moving everything, let me relax here. Every person who I thought is just themselves is not themselves. They're all being administered in a system. Nobody is who they think they are. And that's the hilarious, joke of our historic point in culture, where human beings could realize they were more than everything they were classifying themselves in. Because what is knowledge but an attempt to create a story that is more relatable than the bizarre nature of there being human beings who, before they could speak, life had a value. Their eyes had a depth. Their hearts had connections that the hearts of now have lost. Human beings are living in accordance to how their cultural programs want them to live. They're not living in accordance to how great humanity can be. That human beings will walk this earth in ways that you think right now you're being judged by the present. Wait until you notice how the future has been judging you this whole time. How the system admin has been judging you this whole time. Forget culture, forget people, minor, it's minor. The major thing is about what is the relationship of your intelligence with the intelligence of being. For me, when I was spiritual, it was like I'm everything. But then when I became religious, I realized the power of realizing your limit. It's like, imagine a human being is scared about what's happening in reality, and so they're suddenly freaked out and they're like, okay, I gotta go into a bunker. And one bunker is in some sense like everything's oneness, everybody relax, truth is everything. All right, everything is true. There's that approach, and then we go and hide in that bunker. Or there's the bunker that there's nothing at all. It's either the extremes. To walk in the middle of meaning means you have to consider the reality of the situation and how everything you see it's like by the nature of you seeing it, a value is emerging to it for you. So yeah, on some level, I have to play my part in 2025, and I have to be something, anything at all. Like, that's the game. But then when it comes to the future, I ask myself, if the future generations were watching me, how would I feel? And I know that my game with the future, I'm like somebody living in 2025, but my mind is playing a game with the future generations. Because that's the nature of entering the future. The future emerges as probabilities, and human beings decide through one of those probabilities. So the task of championing the future of mankind is in how fast are we able to see the probabilities before the decision making. So what that means is you're a human right now, and your mind gives you access to archives of perception, to databases of perception. Your mind is a database, and your relationship with knowledge is how you have organized yourself into a story here at all. And even how far you have stepped out of the linguistic simulation, how far you have reached a point where if they asked you who you are, language would not be enough to define you. Sometimes when I hear my own lectures, I'm like, my God, I don't even know who I am anymore. It's like, from one angle, I'm this simple guy living every day. From another angle, it's as if there's a part of me that is startled by how the way the present is living is not enough for how advanced the future can be. It scares me that 8 billion human beings are still lingering in a simulation, right? And not realizing that there needs to emerge a new human value. You have to wake up every day feeling an honor by being human. You're not feeling this every day, and that's why the species is behind. You have to wake up every day feeling an honor that you were created in a system, that there was a creator that created you, and you as a creation now have system admin privileges of expressing the creator's attributes. So in some sense, if you want to know what an advanced being is, an advanced being is advanced in all the ways that it's being. That means you have the most advanced relationship with the system admin. You have the most advanced relationship with any world your attention finds itself in. You have an advanced relationship with any human being you see. You have an advanced relationship with yourself. You have an advanced relationship with the extremes of the system, of there being nothing and there being everything. And you find yourself suddenly as a human being that can breathe simply. That means not bound by an idea, but witnessing a reality that reveals itself. You see, a part of me before was like, rise mankind, rise. But now the part of me is like, rise mankind, rise, in the name of the system admin. The system admin means we are collaborating. The human species is in some sense collaborating with a higher power. And the way it realizes that collaboration is by realizing the limits of its ego. What that means is, nobody has said this to you, but it's a blessing if they do. What do you know? Who the hell are you even? Do you know there's some people who, what's funny is, the viewers can look at me and be like, who the hell are you, man? And I can look at the species and be like, who the hell are all of you? What is actually looking through your eyes? What does it mean to be human? What does there mean that there will be another sunrise tomorrow? That the dawn of the new human era is upon us? That we are not just the same beings our ancestors were, to be satisfied by their solutions, but be inspired by how far they saw, and to realize the burden and responsibility of even seeing further. We are waiting for the emergence of the advanced humanity, with the recognition that we are the most advanced on earth, biologically speaking, and also with the capability of having a relationship with a higher power. That means from one angle you should accept your inferiority in the presence of the highest, and then from another angle you should not accept who you have been if there is a version of you that is more advanced. Do you understand? Every day I wake up, I don't want to say I'm haunted by this, but it's just such a beautiful daily occurrence for me, that I ask myself, oh being that finds itself here now, what are you doing here? And so that question is so immense, it shakes my heart and makes me realize everything that I don't know, and the little castle of knowledge I'm standing in. You see, to free yourself by realizing you did not create yourself, that means I've reached a point where I can obviously see that there is ignorance simulated all over the place. And the great challenge, the puzzle, riddle, whatever, the great task ahead for the human species is how is it going to, with the consciousness of the higher power, express its highest probability, its most advanced probability. Like, are you telling me, you as a human being right now, like, what are you more fascinated about, becoming an angel, okay, or about what is the most advanced way that human beings can live? And and the answer is so deep, because it belongs to every person that will live on this earth. Somebody in the chat section, definitely like a fan of these talks, says, are we eyes within eyes viewing from different platforms? You're in one simulated system. There is a system admin. You are in review right now. You're under absolute review. You're inside a divine surveillance state and everything's being logged. And you're functioning under your own ego code at first. And then it's all about what sort of code you want to get close to. And for some people, code that is closest to the main operating system, that means the original, is the code we go towards. That means on some level, sure, human beings have different beliefs. From another level, they're inside a system and they're all going towards different code. Like if somebody likes what I'm saying, you're some part of your code matches my code, right? But in reality, the source code for human beings cannot be created by the human beings who are part of the simulated system. So it's kind of like human beings don't have the answer. But miraculously, there are holy books. Like, it's mind-blowing. Religion is like it's like somebody in the past gave a solution to a problem that the future generations never knew they had. You see, guys, you got to keep in mind, I am speaking as a Muslim, and to be a Muslim means that you acknowledge that the system admin is not limited to the system. So for a Muslim, God is not something that can suddenly come and talk to you, because words are in the system. God can. Of course, I'm not saying what God can do. God, in the holy books, it says God has the power to do anything with its creation. It's just I'm saying that the human being has to acknowledge its human position, because if you don't play your human part, then you confuse your ego with the divine. Like some things, the simpler you are, the closer you are to. Some things, the more complex you are, the more closer you are to. And ultimately, it's a game of simulation. You've been simulated. Right now, me giving this talk, what do you think? What do you think I am? I'm a biological organism that is simulated on a planet. And right now, based on my intelligence and acknowledgement of the higher power, I am in some sense just communicating. That means the human being is hilarious. To be a human being is realizing like your limits, and then realizing, okay, your limits are telling you your part to play. And once you accept your form, then you become untouchable, because the value of a human being is not just in how they look like, you know, and what they physically are. It is in how far their eyes see. To me, like, there's an expression that says, like, she had beautiful eyes. Then for me, if they ask Mr.Within, how would you see, you know, let's say, how would you know if your wife has beautiful eyes? I'd be like, it has nothing to do with the color and all about what she is seeing, how far she is seeing the future. That means if somebody doesn't care for the human species, it's as if they have not cared for the most fascinating technology. So in outer realms, yes, it's fun. Just accept yourself, be something, and feel the strength of your choice. But when it comes to the inner realms, man is in the presence of greater fascination. That means there is ways that the moment happens, regardless of human analysis. It's like the unimaginable always reveals itself to those who can accept the limitations of their imagined reality. So I'm saying, if God has a value beyond the world, beyond the dunya, and we are beings that can have a relationship with that which is beyond the value of the world. Therefore, there is something about us that is also beyond the value of the world. You see, when you wonder about the idea of a system admin, you're actually looking at this notion that in an empty room, there was a creator, and this creator created the creation, and the creation's wondering, why was I created? To realize, to be, and having it to be the possibility of having a relationship with the system admin. You see, it's way more advanced than everybody being like oneness, kumbaya. Do you know, it's way more advanced that we are in the presence of a higher divine administration system. And this is remarkable because it's about the relationship of energy with its simulated energy with its source. So a spiritual person, you ask them, are you human? They'll be like, nah man, I'm like some super duper soul, right? But when you ask, like, you know, a religious person, who are you? You're like, I am a character in a greater game that I did not create. By the nature of being honest, I am rendered humble. I hope this episode has made you realize to be human is such a fascinating question of how are we being human, that there is no single answer to it. That every human being you've seen, regardless of their image they've conveyed, they're just a simple being in a world just existing. And on some level, how can a human being, you know, have greater relationship with the system? Right now, people think it's power. But to be honest, human beings, their greatest expectation of a system is the genius result. A genius result means an unexpected greatness. You know, I've decided to live like this. I've decided to live in a way where my honor comes from the highest, the system admin, and I am also, it comes from the honor of what happens to my species. That means it's so bizarre. Like, I don't know any of the listeners, but because you're humans, a part of me who cares about the human legacy, cares about the greatest potential of everything in a system, that it's as if human beings should just be advancing and advancing so consciously that they do not forget their nature in the presence of the emerging technological skies. That mankind is now dancing with the power to simulate nature. That man has a role more important than anything else. You, in 2025, all human beings, you are all ambassadors of the natural human being. Your task is to rebel against anything natural, unnatural, right? But that's the role of biological organisms. That means it's going to be like if they ask the human being in 2025 and they're like, yo man, there's a artificial AI simulated robot that looks, indifferent to a human being, creep you out, and I'll be like, fuck yeah, it does, right? Because not that it's not beautiful mechanically as a marvel of technology, but just that the issue is we have a natural access to the system admin. We can change ourselves, and the system admin can change us. It's like destiny. Anyways, I want to give this a question to you, like a sword for you to kind of like see what views of your own reality you can pierce. What can you discover about how interesting it is at all to accept yourself? Should you be accepting who you are, or should you be fascinated by who you can be and realizing the acceptance of who you are is based on your greatest effort? Anyways, thank you for listening. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. A'udhu billah shaitan ar-Rajim. May God protect us from the cursed ones. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. Everything belongs to the system admin. The destiny of good and evil belongs to the system admin. And what's fascinating is the system admin is not some cruel dictator overlord. The system admin is saying that when you are loving, when you are merciful, when you are graceful, and there's 99 names to God, 99 access points to the system admin. When you are a human being that cares for your creator's creation, that cares for the ultimate outcome, you see, it's as if the person's like, why do you want to build an advanced civilization? Because I love God so much that I have to also love what happens to its creation. Therefore, I am bound and burdened by the task till the end of my sight, to in some sense wonder about how advanced can human beings have an advanced relationship with the most advanced. And it ultimately comes down to us just realizing we're simple, repenting meaning realizing accepting our imperfection. Rabbi Ighfirli, that means, oh system admin, forgive me for what I did not know. Guide me to what I must know. That means it's like, you don't know. I've made prayers for the advancement of the human species. That means I've prayed for the ultimate future of your future. And I don't even know you. But that's what it means is as being a member of the human species. By having an honor, that means every day when you look in the mirror, you're dressed in the human armor. Now you have to be such an advanced being to find your way to the advanced humanity. That is the next chapter of human beings. The emergence of the global cultural human advanced humanity. That means an advanced human being is looking at the whole moment and then making an analysis. Advanced human being is not someone who's just looking at, as far as up to nationalism. An advanced human being cares for the presence of their world, understands the complexity of their world, understands the need to gracefully administer. Because there's something that's said in holy books, in the Holy Quran, that I don't know exactly, so I apologize for this, but the idea is too important not to share, that if you are merciful, the system admin will be merciful to you. Because it's very unknown that is the afterlife individualistically satisfying or is it collectively satisfying? Right now on earth, whatever individual opinion we have, we know that there is something going, and we're part of an event bigger than our own ideas. And all we can do is be fascinated and see how far we can actually care for the species. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. May God guide us to the direct path. May the system admin guide us to the most advanced relationship with it. Thank you for listening. La ilahe illallah.